Hey guys, what's up? So we have the new ban list available as of the 1st of January, and this will apply to the OCG. The only forbidden card on there is Ancient Fate. This is a light dragon synchro level 7 with 2100 attack and 3000 defense, and it requires a tuner and one or more non-tuner monsters. Its effect is, once per turn, you can special summon one level 4 or lower monster from your hand. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this effect. Once per turn, you can destroy as many field spell cards on the field as possible, and if you do, gain 1000 life points. Then you can add one field spell card from your deck to your hand. This card is very generic. It can be summoned by anything that meets these requirements without having to be a set type or attribute, or even an archetype. The special summon of a monster is decent, however, it prevents you from attacking that turn. This is not usually the effect that is used, considering special summoning level 4 or lower monsters is very easy with so many cards doing this. Think of cards such as Goblinberg, which are literally a one card exceeds for rank 4s. It's the second effect that we're actually after. The ability to get rid of field spells and gain life points, and being able to search for one of your own field spells to go to your hand is what makes this card as abusable as it is. Remember, most archetypal decks rely on their field spells heavily in order to gain advantage, so the constant means of destroying them without having to rely too heavily on back row cards is very useful indeed. Its stats are also very viable to keep it on the field. The ability to add any field spell to your hand also means if you're running multiple, you have more options into what you can go into, making your deck even more unpredictable. The next set of cards are limited, and so you can only run one of these. The first is Spiral Gear Drone. This is a wind machine level 1 with 100 attack and 100 defense, and its effect is, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, and if you do, place them on top of their deck in any order. During either player's turn, you contribute this card, then target one spiral monster you control. It gains 500 attack for each card your opponent controls. You can banish this card and one spiral card from your graveyard, then target one spiral super agent in your graveyard, add it to your hand. The first effect lets you determine what your opponent will draw in their next turn, and therefore it provides you an insight into their deck. The attack boost card punishes your opponent for having multiple cards on the field, making your spiral monsters become over 2000 attack easily, and it has a graveyard effect to be able to recover a spiral super agent to your hand, making it far too useful. Spiral Quick Fix is an Earth Machine level 1 with 500 attack and 400 defense, and its effect is, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add one Spiral Gear card from your deck to your hand. If this card is in your graveyard and you control Spiral Super Agent, you can discard one card, special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. This card can search most of your cards, and it can revive itself to use its effect. So each of these can provide the search twice before being banished, and there are cards that can reset the banish effect, such as a burial from a different dimension. You can also abuse this card with the spell card Machine Duplication that affects monsters with 500 attack or less to bring out the other copies, enabling 3 searches on the same turn, providing far too much advantage. By forcing it to 1, this combo can no longer be used. Dandelion is an Earth Plant level 3 with 300 attack and 300 defense, and its effect is, if this card is sent to the graveyard, special summon it to Fluff tokens. The plant types Wind level 1 with 0 attack and 0 defense in defense position. These tokens cannot be tributed for a tribute summon. During the turn they are special summoned. This card is a token generator card and is used between synchro monsters and link monsters. This card has had a long history of being on the ban list, being thrown around between being semi-limited, limited, and banned outright, as it is far too generic and far too abusable. Blackwing Steam the Cloak is a dark winged beast tuner level 3 with 800 attack and 1200 defense, and its effect is, if this face-up card leaves the field, special summon one Steam token, Aqua type, Wind, level 1 with 100 attack and 100 defense. If this card is in your graveyard, you contribute one monster, special summon this card from the graveyard. You can only use this effect of Blackwing Steam the Cloak once per duel. If this card summoned this way is used as a synchro material monster, all other synchro material monsters must be Blackwing monsters. I don't understand why this card is limited, considering that its effect is a once per duel effect. It does provide a token when it leaves the field, so typically as a result of a synchro summon, you would then be able to encourage a link monster play. But other than that, it is Blackwing dependent, so it does not work in most decks. Firewall Dragon is a light Cyverse Link 4 Link monster with arrows pointing to the left, top, right and bottom. It has 2500 attack, and it needs 2 or more monsters in order to summon it. Its effect is, once while face up on the field as a quick effect, you could target monsters on the field and or graveyard up to the number of monsters co-linked to this card, return them to the hand. If a monster this card points to is destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one monster from your hand. This card is used to loop return effects such as Golem to further mass summoning of link monsters. The last card is Spiral Resort. This is a field spell that says your opponent cannot target other spiral cards you control with card effects. Once per turn, you can add one spiral monster from your deck to your hand. Once per turn during your end phase, shuffle one monster from your graveyard into the deck or destroy this card. This card provides instant protection to the spiral monsters, it enables a search every turn, and it recovers a monster from the graveyard back to the deck. This card is far too strong within the deck, they do not have a problem with going off quickly, and to provide effect protection makes it almost impossible to outright defeat them. By reducing this to 1, it becomes more of a game of luck whether the spiral player will reach this card in time, or whether the opponent will beat the spiral player before they ever draw into this card. Now we have the semi-limited list. These are where you can run two of these cards. We have Tribe Infecting Virus. This is a Water Aqua level 4 with 1600 attack and 1000 defense, and its effect is discard one card from your hand and declare one type of monster. Destroy all face-up monsters of the declared type on the field. This card has been doing This card hasn't been doing anything, as most decks use a variety of types, even if you are looking purely at the extra deck. Therefore, it really doesn't deserve a place being banned anyway, and I would argue for a case for it to be completely unlimited, as in go back to 3. It's not doing any harm, and the fact that it's a destruction effect now actually helps some decks to win. Grinder Golem is a Dark Fiend level 8 with 3000 attack and 300 defense, and its effect is cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your hand to your opponent's side of the field by special summoning 2 Grinder tokens. These are Fiend type, Dark, level 1 with 0 attack and 0 defense, in face-up attack position on your side of the field. If you special summon this monster, you cannot normal summon or set a monster during the same turn. This card is used now to make tokens to use for link monsters, who will then return this to the hand to keep doing this to set up typically at least 3 link monsters in that turn. I don't think that reducing it to 2 will make much difference. They should have looked at either limiting or completely banning it outright, as this is the degenerate problem card that the return to the hand cards are taking abuse of, not the actual returning cards themselves, such as Security Dragon or Akashic. Shurit, Strategist of the Metris, is a Water Warrior level 3 with 300 attack and 1800 defense, and its effect is, if you ritual summon exactly one Necros ritual monster with a card effect that requires use of monsters, this card can be used as the entire requirement. If this card is tributed by a card effect, you can add one warrior type Necros ritual monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Shurit, Strategist of the Necros once per turn. This card has been banned in the past due to being the entire tribute for a Necros ritual, and it enables a search. This will make the Necros archetype much more usable, and it will see a significant uptake soon. Just wait for the Necros cards to go up in price as a result of this news. Mathematician is an Earth spellcaster level 3 with 1500 attack and 500 defense, and its effect is when this card is normal summoned, you can send one level 4 or lower monster from your deck to the graveyard. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can draw one card. This card is used to set up a graveyard and lets you draw a card when destroyed in battle. This is useful for synchro decks, and some lower level monsters have quite decent effects that activate in the graveyard, which you can abuse. Lone Fire Blossom is a fire plant level 3 with 500 attack and 1400 defense, and its effect is once per turn you contribute one face-up plant type monster, special summon one plant type monster from your deck. This was one of the key cards in the plant synchro deck. You could replace cards to bring out the necessary combo pieces from the deck. This deck may see additional play now as they have access to Dandelion, and obviously going into their other plays they can mass summon other plays. Scapegoat is a quick play spell card that says special summon 4 sheep tokens, Beast Earth level 1 with 0 attack and 0 defense in defense position. They cannot be tributed for a tribute summon. You cannot summon other monsters the turn you activate this card, but you can only normal set. This is a token generating card used to bring out synchro monsters or link monsters. This has been at 3 before whilst not doing anything. However, with the reliance on link monsters, this definitely needs to be reduced to maybe 1. Pantheism of the Monarchs is a normal spell card that says send one monarch spell or trap card from your hand to the graveyard and draw 2 cards. You can banish this card from your graveyard, reveal 3 monarch spell or trap cards from your deck. Your opponent chooses 1 for you to add to your hand, and you shuffle the rest back into your deck. You can only use this effect of Pantheism of the Monarchs once per turn. This card is their version of a draw card, and once used, banishes itself to provide a search for a back row card. This card will encourage players to perhaps pick up the Monarchs again, as it increases the consistency. It is good that it's not at 3, as this would then become far too. Set Rotation is a quick play spell card that says set 2 field spells with different names from your deck on the field, 1 on your field and 1 on your opponent's field. While either of those cards remain set on the field, neither player can activate or set other field spells. This locks your opponent from using their field spells, which players are more dependent on now. Solemn Warning is a counter-trap card that says when a monster would be summoned or when a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated that includes an effect that special summons a monster, pay 2000 life points, negate the summon or activation, and if you do, destroy that card. This card is a staple in many decks, but it should have been limited if you wanted to reduce the players from using it. The last set of cards are the Unlimited section. This is where you can use 3 of them. These include Atlantean Dragoons. This is a Water Sea Serpent level 4 with 1800 attack and 0 defense, and its effect is all level 3 or lower Sea Serpent type monsters you control can attack your opponent directly. When this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect, add 1 Sea Serpent type monster from your deck to your hand, except Atlantean Dragoons. This card can be game ending, as if you have a large field of lower level monsters, they can attack directly, and when it's sent to the graveyard, it can search for a Sea Serpent monster. This is a staple within the Mermail Atlantean decks, so to bring it to 3, you will see a marginal increase in this type of deck, especially considering the Mermail Link monster that has been recently introduced. Maxi is an Earth Insect level 2 with 500 attack and 200 defense, and its effect is, during either player's turn, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. This turn, each time your opponent special summons a monster, immediately draw 1 card. You can only use one Maxi per turn. I don't see players wanting to run 3 of them, as this can make your hand very bricky if you're unfortunate in order to draw into multiple versions. Dark Hole is a normal spell card that says destroy all monsters on the field. This is strange to have it at 3, considering its power. This has not been at 3 since before the first initial ban list was introduced. I can see their point, considering quite a few monsters have effect protection, but I still think this is going overboard to completely The final card is Future Fusion. This is a continuous spell card that says, during your first standby phase after this card's activation, show 1 fusion monster in your extra deck and send the fusion materials listed on it from your main deck to the extra deck. During your second standby phase after this card's activation, fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck with the same name as the monster you showed, and target it with this card. When this card leaves the field, destroy that target. When that target is destroyed, destroy this card. This card used to be very good, as it could send monsters to the graveyard, and then you could use other fusion cards to bring out the monster, or a different one, best used in decks such as Cyber Dragons or Elemental Heroes. However, since it received an errata, a change to its effect to make it weaker, now the monsters used for the fusion get sent to the graveyard on your first standby phase, which is your next turn, so you cannot make those FTKs anymore. You may see play with more stall-based decks, or those that don't mind waiting to get out their monsters. What do you think of the OCG ban list? Is there anything that surprised you? Which decks will you be likely to play from them? And do you think the TCG will have a near identical ban list when that comes out? Leave your comments down below, like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and as always, thank you for taking the time to watch.